Well, guys, woo, we made it. It's week one. And the Bills and
No, it's kind of crazy.
we don't have the results of the Bills and the Rams because we're recording right before the game.
Yes. Yeah, we are.
We do have some news from there. I'll get to that in a second. But coming up, we're going to talk the college football playoff. There's a new thing coming to it. You will have to stay tuned to watch for that. We have our week one picks, but we begin with the rundown. I'm going to kick things off here, just like the NFL is going to kick off later. But hey, anyway, speaking of the NFL, there is a contract extension we've got to talk about. And no, it is not Lamar Jackson. It is Sean McVay and their GM Snead. They have both been extended through 2026, which effectively ends, to me, the Sean McVay retirement rumors. Of course, as you may or may not have seen, after Super Bowl 56, there were rumors that if Sean McVay wins, he's going to retire and become the new broadcaster for ESPN or whatever, And, well, I'd say that puts this to an end. So,
Oh yeah, I would think so too.
at least for another 4 years, but still good deal. McVay, believe it or not, and I saw this, at least not counting the Thursday night game, which again we don't know the results of, McVay has never in his coaching career been below 500. Never.
No, it doesn't seem like it at all.
So that's huge. And the fact that he's still in his 30s and he's still going strong, again, big deal because this is the guy who could be your coach for 30 plus years. And,
That's very true.
The Rams are built, I know they've traded every single first round draft pick, but, they build for success. They are building to win right away, and this is the right coach to lead them down that path. Of course, they'll be a Super Bowl favorite again, too,
Of
regardless
course, you don't
the
want to
outcome.
discredit their GM for getting a lot of those players to begin with, too.
Yeah. I know people don't like the money ball. And again, I point out how much I hate the Yankees for playing money ball instead of building. But, they have to work with the cap. So that's why this is different than the other ones, is they have to work with the cap. Whereas baseball, you don't. So it's not, you're just being smart about investing money. And you got players that are willing to take pay cuts to be there. Whereas in baseball, all that crap doesn't matter. So, good for McVay, good for Snead. Again, they're continuing to try to build toward being a Super Bowl favorite for years to come. So, we move on to college football. Another coach got an extension as well. And this one is Dabo Swinney. So Dabo Swinney and Clemson have agreed to a 10-year, $115 million deal. So I guess I gotta ask, because Dabo Swinney's name is always in the running, but I don't believe there's been interviews. Does this effectively end the Dabo Swinney NFL discussions with that 10-year deal?
Probably for right now. But if we know anything about a 10-year deal, it doesn't exactly mean that he's going to be there for all 10 years. Mind you, if he actually does well in those 10 years or not. I'm not, I don't want to compare the NFL and college football because they're two different total juggernauts and two totally different things. But yeah, I mean, who knows?
So the thing with the NFL one, of course, John Gruden got a 10-year deal. But again, John Gruden got fired for he got fired for misconduct. Okay,
True.
We've not heard anything about Dabo. And to be honest, Dabo has had Clemson in the playoffs, I believe, a lot. And I don't even know the exact number, but a lot in the last
almost every single season
almost
he's
every
been
single
there.
year. Now, he's probably... I don't want to say this is going to put an end to those rumors because 100% those rumors are still going to pop up here and there.
Right.
They're going to be, he might get a couple interviews. I'm sure he won't take any for the next 3 to 4 years. I feel like that might be the window. After 3 to 4 years, he's probably going to start getting some NFL interviews.
Right.
Or at least offered them. But he might just say, no, I don't want it. Or, I'm happy in college. Or he'll take him out of respect for the franchise that wants him. But
he might still take a few interviews, but I think down below he's going to be like, well, hey, my heart and soul is still into Clemson for right now, unless you give me a deal that is too good to, not take. I don't know.
Exactly. So
I look at it this way: never say never in a situation like that.
Absolutely, and we'll see. Again, I don't foresee anything happening in the near future, but maybe the distant one. So we shall see. But moving ahead, of course, and this one's a big one. So, of course, Jackie Robinson Day, big day in baseball. Every player in the NFL wears the number 42, or every player in the MLB wears 42 for the games that day. Well, now I think the Pirates and the Mets are leaning toward a new trend. Roberto Clemente Day is September 15th this year, and of course, this year the Mets and the Pirates have both committed to wearing 21 to honor the late Roberto Clemente. Of course, Clemente, a 1972 Hall of Fame inductee. He is the first Caribbean and Latin American enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's a 15-time All-Star, 12-time Gold Glove, and the 1971 World Series MVP. Needless to say, I think this is the right move right here. They should honor him. Again, he's one of the greats. He's one of the trailblazers in the sport. And, no better way to honor him than to wear his number.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just grateful that a lot of teams will, honor players of the past with their numbers and stuff like that. I wish a lot of other sports would do the same thing. But, hey, at least they get it in baseball. That's still something to see.
Yeah, and again, can't wait to see it. But with that, my takeaways were short today. So I'm going to turn things over now to Jason for his takeaways.
All right, so my first takeaway is, a tight end that ended up having a really good year last year. I probably would have waited to see what he would have done after this year first before signing him to a new contract extension, but looks like they wanted to jump the gun now. So Dawson Knox, who has been a very up and down tight end in his few years, is now going to be staying until 2026 with signing a new 4-year contract extension, and I think he has earned it after the season he had last year. The real question is, has he earned it after the season he had last year, or should it have gone to Jordan Poyer, who is one of the top safeties of the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I mean, I've watched Buffalo Plus the other day. I watched, the Bills Kickoff Live. Both are local programs, by the way, for the Buffalo Bills in the Buffalo and Rochester markets. For those who don't know, both networks kind of said the same thing. He's getting paid like a top 5 tight end. He's not there yet, but it's the Bills' commitment to saying that we think he can be top 10 or top 5 rather in the tight end category. I'm not going to disagree with that. But again, it's Brandon Beane also being committed to the build or to the draft and then re-sign method. And, I think it's a good signing if, the chemistry's there with Josh and Dawson Knox. By all means, he deserves that contract if that's the only way to keep him.
Right.
So.
See, this is what I like about something like this is that you're keeping the same kind of offense together so then Josh can grow with that offense and have familiar pieces. Yes, you give him some newer pieces and plug and, take and plug in here every now and then, because that offensive line is a lot different than it was last year. A few pieces on the offense, like some of the receivers, are different than what you had last year. With Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley. You still have Isaiah McKenzie. You still had Gabe Davis, but this year you have Gabe Davis being the number 2 receiver. You have Isaiah probably in the slot. You have Jamison Crowder out there. You have a few more other options that are going to be different this year. So I'm very interested to see the running back, room looks to be poised to have a decent year this year. All 3 of them have proven that with this new improved offensive line that they can probably push and pound the ball. So this offense, I think, is going to be a lot more firepower than it probably has in the past. As far as the defense goes, defense might be having some hiccups to start the season. You don't have Tre'Davious White out there. You have a rookie corner going up against one of the top receivers there. But I really do think...
Sorry, I sent you something for later. That's why.
Okay.
So, I forgot to add something to the list for later in the show. So, Tinkle on this coming up later.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
didn't mean to distract you by it.
Jordan Poyer has been the most consistent player since becoming a Buffalo Bill. I think you should have gave him the contract extension than Dawson Knox.
I mean, I wanted to lead up into that. I was kind of multitasking, so that's why I didn't get to talk Jordan Poyer as much. But didn't Jordan Poyer end last year on the IR?
I think so.
So
that's hence why he was, why he's just coming back to practice. Didn't play in the preseason whatsoever.
I mean, at that point, as much as I agree Jordan Poyer deserved the contract, an ACL is kind of one of those injuries where you either come back the same or you don't. And I think I want to wait and see if he's going to come back the same player or not before giving him that kind of deal.
Sorry, don't mind that. But I will say that I think Dawson Knox can be a decent player. I think he's somebody that can actually
Did you get it?
Go out there and play like a top 5 tight end. By the way, I think she has to go out too. But as far as Jordan Poyer goes, it just sucks to have to see him potentially leave Buffalo. Yes, that injury is going to really derail his momentum trying to get a contract extension with Buffalo, but it all depends on what kind of season he's going to have this year. And the real question is, can he go all 17 games in the season too? Can he stay healthy? That's some question marks there, but other than that, I'm going to go into my second takeaway. This one happened right after we were done recording last week for Sunday Morning Tinkle. A big one too, a big trade. He was on the trade rumors for many times, linked to the Knicks, linked to other teams, but he doesn't go there. He goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers instead for Lauri Markkanen, Ochai Agbaji, Colin Sexton, 3 unprotected first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. Wow.
I warned you, though. Did I not say after a couple... I think it was not last season, but the season before. I'm like, if Donovan Mitchell doesn't get to the finals, or at least close to it soon, he's going to want to trade. And I don't think necessarily he demanded this trade, but... Man, I mean, he got it.
The Utah Jazz are trying to clean house and start all over again, because after this trade, before I go into it a little bit more, they were looking to get rid of Jordan Clarkson and a few other, like Bogdanovich. They were looking to get rid of like most of the other players that they had that they built around last year. Of course, we know that Rudy Gobert is with Minnesota. We know that now Donovan Mitchell is in Cleveland. It just seems like to me that Utah doesn't have a real big plan in action. Yes, they have Colin Sexton and a lot of, other players that they can, they have Lauri Markkanen and they have Colin Sexton, some other players that they can build around. But if you look at it, Utah looks like they want to kind of rebuild this team to something different. than the players that they had that got them to the playoffs to begin with here. Cleveland now went from potential playoff, kind of mediocre team to now like they could actually cause some ruckus in the East.
Yeah. I mean, and I think what's big about this, and I really don't think this is much of a reach. Donovan Mitchell's on the verge of being one of the greats in the game, one of the great active players right about now. So it's a big move. It's a commitment. It's saying essentially to the league that we know his worth.
Right.
So now it's going to be about, can Donovan Mitchell live up to it? Can he get this team over the hump?
Now, this looks a little risky because you cleaned house just to get one player.
Yeah.
The real thing I have to say is, if Donovan Mitchell doesn't end up being the player they think that he can be, Cleveland looks like the most stupidest franchise in probably NBA history. But if he ends up doing well and takes him to maybe like past the first round and becoming a decent team in the East, then you look at it as it was worth clearing house just for him.
Yep. Well,
to me, what it seems like that Cleveland was ready to do is they were ready to kind of be in a win-now kind of situation, hence why they got rid of so many players to go after Donovan Mitchell.
Well, see, let's be fair. And love LeBron, hate LeBron. He's the best player Cleveland's ever had in the history of that franchise. This guy,
I agree with it.
Okay, Donovan Mitchell is the best player since then, and that's a knock to Kyrie Irving because I don't think Kyrie Irving is near as good as Donovan Mitchell can be. So
no, but you can't agree. You can't disagree that Kyrie Irving definitely had a big say in that.
Yeah,
the Cavaliers winning that championship back in the day.
But before LeBron came back, what was Kyrie Irving besides an injury-prone player?
He wasn't really doing anything.
Yeah, so I think this is different. I think Donovan Mitchell's the leader they need. He's the face of the franchise they need. Again, I mean, it's the East. Take it like a grain of salt that they'll get there. Right. But at the very least, I think they'll be better than the bullshit play-in that I like to call it. So
yeah, they might potentially be like a 4 or 5 seed in the East. That's why I'm kind of baiting it as. Because in the end of the day, it's still going to be the Bucks, the Celtics, probably the Nets, Hawks. Definitely the Cavs, maybe the Knicks. I don't know. Like it's always going to be those same kind of groups that are going to be in there in that discussion every single year. So I think that they can be like a mid-seed team heading into the playoffs. So who really knows? But as much as did they give up too much for one player? For right now, it seems like it. But we'll really see once the season starts if it was actually like that. If they were smart or if they were dumb. But speaking of a team that has high aspirations every single year, and I'm talking about the Boston Celtics, unfortunately their forward, Danilo Gallinari, will be out for the whole entire year with a torn ACL in his left knee. The real question is what kind of impact will this have to the 2022-2023 Boston Celtics?
I mean, obviously losing a player like him is never good.
Because he did decently for the Hawks last year. To bring in a player like that as a forward that can hit threes, that can, hit mid-range shots, that is definitely going to suck for a team that's trying to, get back to the promised land like they were last year.
And should I add, by the way, that now the latest name to circle since this Gallinari injury, the Celtics are now interested in Carmelo Anthony to replace him.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, there's rumors swirling about that. NBC Sports has actually posted an article about it, that there's a chance Carmelo Anthony could be joining to replace the 34-year-old.
Honestly, I would be okay with that. Yes, Carmelo is not certainly the same player he once was in his prime, but he's still somebody that can give you impact off the bench, that can go in there and, hit threes, hit mid-range shots, somebody that can still, give you production, and help you win basketball games. So honestly, I think him going to Boston would make a lot of sense in this case. Well, does it really hurt the Celtics losing a player like that? Not really, because they still have Jason Tatum and Brown, and they had players like that led them to the finals last year. So I don't think it's going to hurt them that much to lose a player, an impactful player like that.
It's going to hurt in terms of depth. That's about it.
Yeah, it will definitely.
I mean,
because that's somebody that was going to potentially come off the bench that's going to give you added minutes and take some stress off of Jason Tatum. But now that he's gone, who do you see as like a backup option for Jason Tatum? Because Jason Tatum gets a lot of minutes every game, and now that potentially his backup is going to be hurt the whole entire year, that adds a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on Jason Tatum to possibly play a little bit more for the Celtics.
Well, like I said, I mean, that's why they're recruiting Carmelo Anthony, at least from the rumors, and it would make sense to bring him in, because then you got someone who's got experience coming in. But mind you that he also has playoff experience too. Yeah, and they're going to have to sign somebody. There's no denying it at this point.
Oh, I agree. They need to. Especially if they want to get back into the finals.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's going to be it for my takeaways. I think it's time for an anchor break.
Yeah, I think it's time for the anchor break. When we come back, some news on the college football playoffs, and then we're going to go through our week 1 picks and our Thursday night football pick, the first one in the Amazon Prime era. So we'll be back in just a moment with that.
Oh.
All right, before we make our picks, some NCAA news. So, this is big. The college football playoff NCAA has announced that the college football playoff will expand to 12 teams, and this will occur no later than 2026. Of course, the big thing is, though, not included in that is a new TV deal. They will, according to CNBC, they are still searching for their TV deal, whether it's with ESPN or another network. Of course, ESPN, as you guys know, have provided quite a platform for the college football playoff on ABC. I believe they got like 2 simulcasts on ESPN and ESPN2 with the Monday Night Football team, and then some version of the Manning cast in the past. So,
right.
It'll be interesting to see what other networks are willing to offer in terms of that and in terms of asking price. So, I guess, what does this mean for college football? First,
it means, I guess, more eyes on the product, and then it means that you're going to see a lot more competitiveness for who is going to actually get to the finals itself. I honestly like this because instead of it just being 4 teams every single year, now it's 12. 12 teams that can compete and, face off, kind of feel like NFL with, who could face off against each other and go off into the college football national championship finals. So as far as the TV deal, that sucks, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to find one. No, even if it's with Turner Sports or anything like that, CBS, Fox, they're going to find a way to get some kind of broadcasting deal for the college football playoffs. But I think it's good things. I think it's going to mean that you're going to see a lot more teams being competitive for one goal in mind, winning the championship at the end of the year.
It's all going to come down to who has more money, so I think that ultimately puts it between CBS and Fox, ESPN and Fox, and NBC.
Yeah, probably.
I imagine those 3 will be the front runners, of course, to get it. I don't expect TNT to play for it, but I do expect some streaming services to try to play for it. But even still, you can't put the national championship on a streaming service exclusive deal.
No, you can't. Yeah, and
You
that's
know,
and that's and that's
it's
going at you there, NFL.
it's something. Yeah, it's something Thursday Night Football is going to pay the price for. But what I will say is I think it's good because one, there's not room for error anymore, or there's more room for error. If you lose a game, and besides, I think you can argue that in the past, and I go back to the UCF days. Now I get UCF did not play any real meaningful opponents, but UCF was ranked like first, second, third at some points in the year, and would finish the season undefeated and not able to play in the college football playoff. So, I'm sorry, I don't care who you played at that point. If you're a top 3 team by the Associated Press, you deserve to be in the playoff. And I feel like it's overly benefited the Power 5 conferences more than anything else.
Right.
Mainly the SEC and the ACC. And occasionally the Big Ten. It has unfairly benefited 3 of the Power 5s. Now, with 12, it might do the same. But at least now there's more possibility beyond just the Power 5 if, one of those teams breaks out and has a great year. In terms of the TV deal, like I said, I expect that Fox or ESPN will pay big for it. I wouldn't doubt NBC does, and then Mike Tirico just commentates on both that and Sunday Night Football, the Super Bowl, the years that NBC gets it.
That would be cool.
Because it seems like Tirico's kind of their all-around voice right about now.
Right. Yeah.
Which
it does seem like that.
I like, but I wouldn't put it past them. So that's all I'm going to say in terms of that. But let's get on to our Week 1 picks real quick. So we begin, of course, we already predicted the Bills and the Rams. You have to go back to our, if anything, while you got a chance before I start with the games, be sure to go back and watch or listen to our NFL season preview special. It was pretty good. It aired Wednesday at 8 on Tinkle Sports and Entertainment all across every platform that we have. So be sure to go check it out. Of course, we predict the standings, the Super Bowl, everything. So with that, let's go on to our picks for this week. Of course, Saints and Falcons open up the 1 o'clock games with the Saints at a 5.5 favorite.
You said Saints and Falcons?
Yeah, Saints
I'm
and
going to have to
Falcons.
go to the Saints.
Yeah, I'm going to go Saints. I do think Marcus Mariota is a good quarterback. I just don't think it's going to be enough to beat New Orleans right about now. 49ers and the Bears. This one could be an interesting one. And the Bears are a 7-point favorite.
Bears are a 7-point favorite?
I'm sorry, San Fran is a 7-point favorite.
Yeah, I was going to say. You got a battle of what? Two second-year players?
Yeah.
Quarterbacks? This one's a tough one. I might have to just go with, honestly, I might just go with the 49ers too. I don't know. This one's going to be an interesting game to see.
I don't buy Justin Fields until I watch him play. I don't necessarily buy Trey Lance right away, but I think, the fact that he fits in the Kyle Shanahan system speaks for itself. So I'm going to go with the 49ers here.
Fuck me if this is even a low-scoring game.
I think so, too.
I'm going to get like a feeling out process with Trey Lance. Same thing with Justin Fields. So
yeah. But with that, Steelers, Bengals, and Cincy is a 6.5.
I'm going to have to go with the Bengals here. I'm not I mean, nothing against Mitchell Trubisky because he is shown that he is a really good starting quarterback when he gets the opportunity. But the Bengals just came off of a Super Bowl appearance, and they're gonna want to go out for blood. So I'm gonna have to.
I'm not even going to explain why, because I think just the fact that since he's loaded says enough about it. So Cincy is my pick. This one's an interesting one. Eagles-Lions. It is the first sellout for the Lions in quite a few years that includes standing room only tickets that were sold. And this is the first time, I think, in a long time.
I could swear it was just standing room only.
They sold out of standing room only, too, from what I saw.
Oh, wow, really? Oh, wow. Officially sold out.
Download the app today to start.
Yeah, they officially sold out of standing room tickets. This is the first time since 2019, of course, pandemic year. But also add in that most of the time it's only standing room on Thanksgiving. That said, the Eagles are a 4-point favorite.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, nothing against the Lions. I think that they can end up being better than they were last year, but I'm not going with them week one. It's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles.
When I think of teams that finished better or that were better than their record shows, the Lions top that list. I don't foresee an upset, though. I'm going to go with the Eagles, but I think it's going to be by 3. I think it's going to come down to a field goal at the end. Sorry, Lions fans. Patriots, Dolphins. Dolphins are 3.5.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Tua and Tyreek Hill shine in Miami in their season debut, so I'm going to have to go with Miami. I think it's going to be a little bit more than what they expected to be. Nothing against the Patriots. They just didn't do very well in the offseason, so I think the Dolphins are going to take advantage of the Patriots here in this game.
I feel like everybody's sleeping on Mac Jones in year 2. I really feel like they are. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Justin Herbert or the next, Kyler Murray or any of that. He's not. I don't really count Patrick Mahomes in that. He didn't play year 1. So, I don't get why the hate for him because, be honest, I think he's a good quarterback. He's in the right system. I think this is a game. I'm going to go with my first upset. I think New England beats the Dolphins.
Okay.
Here. So, again, I think that curse ends. All right, Ravens, Jets, and Baltimore a 7-point favorite. Keep in mind, no Zach Wilson.
I was going to say, mind you, Joe Flacco was facing up against his former team. I want to say for the first time ever, too.
Yeah.
I had to go to the Ravens here. Nothing against the Jets. I just don't buy the Jets, so I'm going to have to go with the Ravens.
I think the Jets made some good offseason acquisitions, but the Ravens are a team that's going to be fringe playoff team to begin with. So with that, I'm going to go with the Ravens here. Jaguars, Commanders. This one on paper looks like a lousy game. Explains the $31 ticket prices right now. But Washington's a 2.5-point favorite.
I might have to go with the upset. I'm going to say the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Washington Commanders here.
I don't normally buy Carson Wentz. I still think Terry McLaurin is a guy. Terry McLaurin's going to be the next Allen Robinson. That's my pick right there for his career. But I think it's going to be the Jaguars as well. I think Trevor Lawrence year 2. I think it's overhyped how he's going to do year 2, but I think he's still going to do really well for him.
I think so too.
I'm going to go Jags. Browns, Panthers. This is the game that Baker has already said, I'm going to fuck them up. And it begins at 1 o'clock. Carolina, a 1.5 favorites.
Well, because you got Baker against Deshaun,
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett. So I'm going to have to go with Baker. I really do think he's going to F them up. I think 1.5 is being a little too generous with a team that, has a lot of distractions on them. So, what better way to have than Baker Mayfield going up against his former team and just kicking their ass? So, I'm going to have to go with the Panthers.
Sorry, I'm gonna agree, but I don't like this as well. The over/under is 45 and a half. Or no, wait, the over/under is 42 and a half. The next game is 45 and a half. I think it's gonna be very low scoring. I think it's gonna be an ugly game. I don't think it's gonna do justice saying fuck them up. I think it's gonna do justice more beat them. So Panthers by a few. But anyway, Colts, Texans, do we have to predict this one? I think we both know what's going to happen here. 7-point favorites to Indy.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the Colts over the Texans.
Colts, yeah. Giants, Titans, 5.5. That's the first 4 o'clock.
I'm going to have to go with the Tennessee Titans. I just don't buy the Giants right now. Not yet.
Maybe after week 1 I'll get a better sense of the Giants, but I'm going to also go Titans here. This is the game that everyone, I think this is the game of the week here on Fox, for one. And number 2, I think it's one of the underrated games. Packers and Vikings. Packers are favored by 1.5.
I just don't know how this Packers team is going to be starting week 1. I really don't. So, and look at what the Packers did last year, week 1. So I'm going to have to go with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to say they upset the Green Bay Packers and get the week 1 victory.
I still like the Packers defense. I don't necessarily buy Kirk Cousins. So with that, I'm going to go with the Packers, actually. Here, I think the defense is going to speak louder than the back-to-back MVP will in this game. So, Chiefs, Cardinals. Chiefs are 6-point favorites. The first game without Tyreek.
I feel like it would be different if there was the DeAndre Hopkins, but I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs over the Cardinals. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than you think because they have Chandler Jones, and they also have
J.J. Watt back.
Yes, so I really do think that defense might actually make Mahomes' day a living nightmare. So, but then again, it's the Chiefs, and they always find a way, so I'm going to have to say the Chiefs.
If DeAndre Hopkins was playing, I'd say slam dunk, it's the Cardinals. Plain and simple. Without Tyreek Hill, because all you got to do is double Kelsey. Because let's be fair, the Chiefs don't have a number 1. I don't care what people say about Juju. I don't care what people say about Mecole Hardman. Neither of them are a number 1 receiver on any other roster in the NFL. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs, but I think it's going to be ugly in terms of a low-scoring game. And not because the Chiefs' defense is good, because they're still awful as far as I'm concerned. But I think
they got rid of Matthews, so yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Talk about rematches. This one is a big rematch in the AFC West from Week 18 last year. Raiders, Chargers, and the Chargers are favored by 3.
I think this game might be a lot closer than they think it's going to be. I'm going to definitely say the Chargers over the Raiders because I think that their defense is a lot better than the Raiders are. They lost a lot of key pieces in Chandler Jones and also Max Crosby, so they kind of lost some pieces on that defensive line. But if you look at the offense, I think it's going to be another offensive battle. But I do think that what will be the Chargers' saving grace is that defense. So I'm going to have to go with the Chargers.
I'm sorry, but here's where I think you're wrong here. Now, this is not just me talking as a Chargers fan. This is me talking in general. Now, Max Crosby's still there, by the way. Chandler Jones is there, too. But I think you're wrong. I think the Chargers are downright pissed that they
Oh,
lost.
Chandler Jones. Sorry, hate to interrupt you. No, Chandler Jones is with the Cardinals right now.
This must be another Chandler Jones here.
Oh, okay, then never mind.
No, this is the Chandler Jones that was in Arizona. So guess what? I'm not buying it. And again, if you missed our special, I already said that I think that the Raiders are going to finish last and it won't even be close. People don't understand Josh McDaniels isn't a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm telling you, if I had to predict, and this isn't, all biases aside, I think it's going to be 10 points or more that the Chargers win by. Honestly, all biases aside. Again, the Raiders were a fluke last year, and they hired the wrong coach, so that's why I'm going to go that direction. And to be honest, I think Davante Adams, and I should have mentioned this in the special that we did last week, I honestly, and you're going to hate me for this, I think Davante Adams is going to be the next receiver to go in the Green Bay Packer trade-away graveyard. Okay. Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, both ring a bell there when they left Green Bay.
Randall Cobb's back with the Green Bay Packers, so you can't really...
But is he what he was before?
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. And Jordy Nelson speaks for himself, okay?
Yeah, he left and went to the Raiders and did absolutely nothing.
And I think Davante is going to be in the same boat.
It's funny that Davante Adams is leading that same path.
I think he will. I'm sorry. I'm not going to change my mind on that. You can call me a hater. You can say, I'm saying it because I'm a Chargers fan. I'm just pointing out the facts there. Bucks, Cowboys, Tampa Bay, a 2.5 favorite here.
See, this is a rematch of what happened week 1 last year, I'm pretty sure, too, where it came down to a game-winning field goal. And I think that's what's going to happen again this year. I think it's going to come down to another game-winning field goal by the Bucks.
I don't think it's going to come down to that. I think, honestly, let's look at the Cowboys. They haven't won a game last year against a team with 10 or more wins. So add in as well that now, for the first time in probably 5 or 6 years, the Cowboys do not have a good offensive line around them. I think it's going to be a bloodbath, and I think Tom Brady, especially with all these rumors now about his marriage being in peril, he's going to come out here. I honestly think it's going to be a bloodbath. I think Bucks are going to win, and they're going to reach northward of 40 points on Sunday night.
It could.
I'm telling you, I think it's going to be like 42. If I had to predict, 42-14 is what I think it's going to be. Tony Pollard's getting a touchdown. I don't think it's going to be close. That and Amari Cooper gone as well.
That's true, too.
So here we go. Now, I said that the Packers and the Vikings might just be the game of the week. This might be the biggest rematch of the or the biggest match of the season. One of the biggest ones in terms of hype. Broncos play the Seahawks. Now listen, the reason why Russell Wilson is returning to Seattle week 1 to play his old team. And do we have to make a pick on this?
No. And let me add this too. I don't think this game is going to be anywhere sort of close at all.
Yeah. Another blunder on primetime TV. I think Denver's going to kill him.
Denver. Russell Wilson's definitely coming for blood, especially after everything that's come out with him having all those problems with Seattle, and that's why he wanted to leave in the first place. Yeah, I think he's coming for blood.
Yeah, but here we go. Thursday night, the first ever game on exclusive to Amazon Prime. Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. Chargers Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 3.
I'm going to have to go with the Chargers here against the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm going to add in that, but also the Chargers have won 2 straight games in Kansas City. Are we going to ignore that they've gone into Kansas City twice and beaten them the last 2 years? Okay, so that said, I think the Chargers are going to win. I think it's going to come down to overtime. I think we're going to see the hype, but we're not going to see the ratings. That's the fun part. So, again, I'm going to go Chargers in that one. I think Tyreek Hill, I don't think they're going to let Kelsey break down the field like they did in LA last year.
Probably not.
Nope. Not anymore. So, with that, that's our picks. That said, let's move on to Tinkle on this. So, at the U.S. Open, this guy took a seat courtside, sat down for a few minutes. Another guy comes over with a razor and starts cutting his hair in the courtside seat. When the haircut was done, both left. So let me get this straight. You're willing to pay hundreds of dollars for a U.S. Open ticket just to come in, get a haircut, and leave? Come on,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, come on, man.
You know what? You know what,
That doesn't
Jason?
make right.
You know what, Jason? I think what we're going to do this year, we're going to buy Super Bowl tickets. We're going to go to Arizona. And, add in, I'm going to get my hair cut in the middle of
And
the
then
game during the halftime, or right before halftime. And then leave. Okay? That is the dumbest thing I've ever read. And for that, man, you can tinkle on this. So,
And really, you just love to burn money like it's apparently nothing.
yeah. But all right, that's all for us this week. Jason, what's coming up on No Final Bell on Wednesday?
What a amazing night in Buffalo, ladies and gentlemen. Fortunately, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, CM Punk all have been stripped of their titles, so Tony Khan had to make some on the fly moves. So we got the very first match of the night was for the Trios Tag Team titles. Congratulations to Death Triangle for winning them. There is going to be a tournament of champions to crown the new AEW champion, as CM Punk is injured once again, possibly going to be out 6 to 8 months. So we will not see him until at least middle of next year. Which does suck for a guy that just became the champion too. Of course, everything with the backstage heat with him. It doesn't look very promising for AEW in that sense, but a lot of the matches that happened in Buffalo were amazing. So we definitely, Marty and I, plan on talking about that. And of course, if you don't follow us on social media, I posted all the pictures on Instagram and Facebook of the night that we had. It was cool singing Judas, even though my brother has a very bad singing voice. I do apologize for that one. But other than that, what is going on for Out of Turn 4?
Tell him don't quit his day job, okay?
Yeah, right.
All right. That said, we had a big upset over in Darlington. We had a thriller of a NASCAR Xfinity Series race in which Sheldon Creed pulled a video game move to win or to lose at Darlington. He slammed into the wall, tried to ride it all the way out of 4 with the lead and couldn't, which led Noah Gragson to win. We did talk about that last week. Same with Eric Jones bringing Richard Petty's 43 back to victory lane for the first time since 2014 when Eric Almirola did it. Well, now we're on to Kansas, and we are going to be talking that. And then, of course, the biggest news. I'm going to address the big elephant in the room here. Spoiler, we got a new all-star race site for the NASCAR Cup Series next season. And it's one that fans have been crying for 20 years, especially the boomers that keep saying, bring back my old NASCAR. Guess what? We are going back to North Wilkesboro, a track that was once in the grave. This track was a graveyard for the last 20-something years, and we are back. And it's not getting repaved at all either for 2023. So this will be, to say the least, an interesting event.
I was about to say, I don't know if that's anywhere kind of sort of safe at all, but hey.
Hey, I mean, they're going to be doing some other renovations, but they will not be repaving it. It was repaved in '06 for late models and local stuff. But Fox Sports, we thank you for making this happen. So, yeah, I'm loving it. But yeah, we'll be talking that. We'll be talking a lot of silly season stuff coming up on the show. Again, be sure to tune in. Now that I basically just gave away the whole show, tune in Tuesday at 5 for Out of Turn 4 on YouTube and Facebook Watch. And also be sure to tune in to No Final Bell on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, YouTube and Facebook Watch. But yeah, we want to thank you guys for watching this show, though, and we'll be back next week with our Week 2 NFL picks and, of course, a recap of Week 1. Until then, goodbye, everyone.